Anna walked through the wide hallway of the police station with her head held high. Her shoes clicked against the floor with a sharp sound that made people turn their heads. Some officers greeted her politely, but she only gave them a small nod, as if their respect was something she already deserved without question. Anna was young, strong, and quick at her work. Many people admired her confidence, but just as many disliked her attitude. She believed that her position as an officer made her better than others. In her heart, she thought rules were meant for ordinary people, not for someone like her. One afternoon, as the sun dipped behind the tall buildings of the city, Anna sat in her office looking over a few reports. A junior officer named Bilal came inside quietly. He carried a file in his hand and placed it gently on her desk. "Madam, this report needs your review," Bilal said softly. Anna barely looked at him. She waved her hand in the air as if shooing away a fly. "Leave it there. I'll see it later," she replied in a cold tone. Bilal stood for a moment, hoping she might ask him something or thank him for his effort. But she turned her eyes back to her phone, scrolling without care. With a quiet sigh, he left the room. This was not the first time Anna had treated others this way. Many in the station whispered about her arrogance. They said she had forgotten that respect was a two-way street. That evening, she was called to attend a small community meeting in one of the city's neighborhoods. It was meant to bring officers and citizens together. But Anna arrived late, walking slowly as if the whole event was not worth her time. The people were already seated, waiting for her. A kind old man stood up and said, "We were waiting for you, Officer Anna. Please, come and take your place." Anna glanced at him and replied, Yes, I'm here now. Let's not waste time with greetings." Her words cut the air sharply. A few people exchanged glances. Some children sitting in the corner frowned, not understanding why a person in uniform spoke so harshly. During the meeting, citizens began to raise concerns about safety, noise, and other problems in their area. Instead of listening carefully, Anna interrupted them again and again. One woman tried to explain the problem of streetlights that no longer worked. "We feel unsafe at night," the woman said. Anna leaned back in her chair and smirked. "Streetlights? Is that really such a big issue? People should be more responsible for their own safety instead of always complaining." The woman went silent, her face pale with embarrassment. Others looked down at the floor, unwilling to speak further. When the meeting ended, Anna walked out proudly, as if she had achieved something great. But the truth was different. People were hurt, and many quietly decided to write a complaint against her behavior. A week later, Anna was called into the chief's office. The chief, a serious man with silver hair, sat behind a large wooden desk. He looked at Anna with calm eyes. "Officer Anna," he began, "we have received several complaints about how you treated the community. It is not the first time, either. This matter must be reviewed in court." Anna crossed her arms and raised her eyebrows. "Court? For what? I only told them the truth. People are too sensitive these days." The chief sighed deeply. "It is not about being sensitive. It is about respect. You will appear before Judge Samuel next week." The name made a few officers in the hallway whisper. Judge Samuel was well known in the city. He was not just a man of law but also a man of wisdom. He believed in fairness and dignity. Anna, however, only laughed. "A judge? I don't care who he is. He will not scare me." That night, she sat in her apartment looking out the window. The city lights glowed, and cars passed by in long streams. Anna felt no fear, no doubt. She was sure that her position and boldness would protect her. In her mind, a judge was just another person, and people always gave in to her confidence. But far away, in his quiet study, Judge Samuel was reading the reports about her. He saw not just the complaints but also the pattern of her behavior. He leaned back in his chair, folded his hands, and thought to himself, this is not a case of crime. It is a case of arrogance. She needs more than punishment, she needs to learn. The stage was set. The officer who believed she was untouchable would soon meet the judge who valued respect above all things. The courtroom would not just be a place of law, but a place where two very different worlds were about to collide. The morning sun shone softly through the tall windows of the city courthouse. People gathered in the long hallway, waiting for the hearings to begin. Some spoke in hushed voices, while others sat quietly on benches, holding papers and files in their hands. Anna walked inside with her usual pride. Her uniform was pressed neatly, her boots polished to shine. She held her head high and walked as if the whole building belonged to her. A few eyes turned toward her, curious to see the officer who had been spoken about so much in the past week. She noticed the stares and smiled to herself. They must know I am not afraid, she thought. At the far end of the hall, the heavy wooden doors of the courtroom opened. A voice called, "All rise for Judge Samuel." Everyone stood up, their movements respectful and quiet. Anna stood too, but slowly, with an expression that showed no respect. Her arms crossed over her chest, she looked at the judge as he entered. Judge Samuel was an older man with gentle eyes and a calm face. His black robe flowed as he walked to his seat. He carried no pride in his steps, only dignity. When he sat down, the room settled into silence. "Please be seated," he said in a steady voice. The people sat. Anna, however, leaned back in her chair with her arms still crossed, as if she were watching a show that did not concern her. Judge Samuel opened the file in front of him. His eyes moved slowly over the pages, reading carefully. Then he looked up at Anna. "Officer Anna," he said calmly, "you are here today because of several complaints about your behavior toward the community you serve. Do you understand why you are present in this court?" Anna smirked. "Yes, I know. Some people are upset because I spoke honestly. But honesty should not be treated like a crime, should it?" A quiet murmur spread across the courtroom. Some people shook their heads, others kept their eyes lowered. Judge Samuel raised his hand, and silence returned. His voice was still calm. "This is not about honesty. It is about respect. The people say you dismissed their concerns and treated them with arrogance. Is that true?" Anna leaned forward. "I did not dismiss them. I told them what they needed to hear. If they cannot handle it, that is not my fault. I am an officer. I know better than them what is important." The words hung heavy in the air. The crowd exchanged looks, some with sadness, some with disappointment. Judge Samuel studied her face. There was no shame, no doubt, only pride. He nodded slowly, as if he had already expected this answer. "Very well," he said. "Let us hear from the people." One by one, community members stood up. The old man who had greeted Anna at the meeting spoke first. His voice was gentle but firm. "She did not listen to us, Your Honor. We waited for her, we respected her, but she brushed our words aside like dust. It was painful to be treated that way." A woman followed. She spoke about the streetlights and how Anna laughed at her concern. "We wanted help," she said, "but instead we felt small." Anna rolled her eyes and whispered loudly, "So dramatic." The judge looked at her quietly but did not speak yet. A young boy, no older than 12, stood nervously at the side. He held a small piece of paper in his hand. His voice trembled as he read. "I thought officers are heroes, but when I saw how she spoke, I felt officers do not care for us." The boy's words struck the room with silence. Even those who had no complaint looked down with heavy hearts. Judge Samuel folded his hands. He turned his eyes back to Anna. "Do you hear their voices?" Anna shrugged. "Children don't understand much. And the rest, well, People always complain. Nothing new. Gasps spread across the courtroom. For many, this was the moment they realized how deep her arrogance ran. The judge, however, showed no anger. His face was calm, his voice steady. "Thank you, everyone, for your words. You may sit." The people sat back down. The room waited, heavy with tension. Judge Samuel closed the file slowly. He spoke again, his tone soft but powerful. "Officer Anna, you wear a uniform that carries the trust of the people. But trust is not built on power. It is built on humility. You may believe that strength is enough, but without respect, strength becomes hollow." Anna tilted her chin upward. "With all respect, Judge, I believe I am doing my job well. If people cannot see it, that is their problem, not mine." For a long moment, the judge said nothing. He only looked at her with eyes that seemed to see deeper than the surface. Then he leaned back in his chair. "This case is not finished," he said firmly. "I will take more time to consider. But remember, Officer Anna, the greatest test of character is not how much power you hold, but how you treat those who cannot fight back." The gavel struck once. The sound echoed through the room. The session was over, but the lesson had only begun. As the people left the courtroom, whispers filled the air. Some felt hope in the judge's calm wisdom. Others worried Anna would never change. Anna herself walked out with the same pride as before. She believed she had handled everything well. But deep inside, something stirred, though she did not yet recognize it. And Judge Samuel, sitting quietly at his desk, knew that the true trial of the heart had only just started. The next hearing was scheduled only a few days later. The courthouse was once again filled with people curious to see what would happen. Many wanted to know if Judge Samuel could break through the wall of pride that Officer Anna carried around herself like armor. That morning, Anna stood before the mirror in her apartment. She adjusted her uniform with sharp, quick movements. Her reflection showed a face full of confidence, but also impatience. She smiled slightly at herself. "They think they can lecture me," she muttered. "But I will show them who is in charge." She walked out of her home and drove to the courthouse, her heart beating with a strange mix of pride and defiance. Inside the courtroom, the atmosphere was heavy with expectation. The judge had listened to the complaints in the last session, but he had not given his verdict. Everyone knew something important was about to unfold today. When Judge Samuel entered, the room rose in respect. Anna stood too, but with a lazy motion, her hands on her hips, her face carrying no sign of humility. The judge seated himself, his calm eyes scanning the courtroom before they rested on Anna. "Officer Anna," he said, his voice steady and clear, "today I want to hear directly from you. Tell this court what respect means to you." Anna tilted her head and smirked. "Respect? It means people should recognize who I am and listen when I speak. I wear this uniform, and that alone should be enough." The room stirred with whispers. Some shook their heads, others sighed. Judge Samuel remained calm. "So you believe respect is something given to you because of your uniform, not something you must show to others?" "Exactly," Anna replied quickly. "If they cannot respect me, then why should I waste my time respecting them? I have authority. That should be enough." The judge leaned forward slightly, his hands folded on the desk. "Authority without respect becomes empty, Officer Anna. True respect is not demanded, it is earned." Anna laughed lightly, shaking her head. "That sounds nice in words, but in the real world, power is what people listen to. Respect, kindness, humility, those are just soft ideas." Gasps filled the room. Some of the community members who had complained last time looked down at their hands, hurt by her words. Judge Samuel raised his hand, and silence returned. "Let me ask you this," he said gently. "When the child spoke in this court, saying he lost faith in officers. Did you feel anything at all? Anna shrugged. Children are emotional. They say many things. It doesn't matter. Her cold answer struck the room like a stone. The silence that followed was heavy, almost painful. The judge did not show anger. His eyes, however, carried sadness. You dismiss even the words of a child who looked up to you. Do you not see the weight of your actions? Anna straightened her back, her chin raised high. I only see that people expect too much. They want officers to solve every small problem. I don't have time for that. My duty is larger than their complaints. The tension in the courtroom grew. Some people shook their heads, while others whispered softly to one another. Judge Samuel, still calm, spoke again. Duty is not only about solving great matters. It is also about caring for the smallest voices. If you ignore them, you fail the very heart of service. Anna rolled her eyes. With respect, Judge, you speak like a teacher in a classroom. But the world is not a classroom. It is harsh, and only strong voices are heard. Softness leads nowhere. Her words showed no sign of change, no sign of humility. The room waited to see how the judge would answer. Judge Samuel sat quietly for a long moment. The silence stretched, and the only sound was the ticking of the courtroom clock. Finally, he spoke. Officer Anna, I see now the depth of your belief. You think strength is in loudness, not in listening. You think respect is in rank, not in behavior. But you are mistaken. Strength without compassion is weakness. Authority without humility is a mask, not truth. Anna shook her head, a smile still playing on her lips. Those are fine speeches, Judge, but they will not change me. I am who I am. The people in the room looked from the judge to Anna, unsure what would come next. Some feared the judge would finally lose his patience. Others hoped he would find a way to open her heart. But Judge Samuel only nodded slowly. Very well, he said softly. If words cannot reach you, then perhaps experience must. I will decide soon how you will face this lesson. The gavel struck once, ending the session. Anna walked out of the courtroom, still proud, still untouched by shame. She thought she had won again, that the judge's calmness was a sign of weakness. But those who knew Judge Samuel understood better. His silence was not weakness. It was preparation. The storm of wisdom had not yet arrived, but it was coming. And when it did, Anna's world would no longer be the same. The day of the final hearing arrived. The courthouse was more crowded than before. People filled every seat, and some even stood near the back, eager to see what decision Judge Samuel would give. Whispers floated through the air, carrying questions and guesses. Will she be punished? One woman asked softly. Or will she walk away again? Another replied. Anna walked into the courtroom with her usual proud steps. Her boots struck the marble floor as if she wanted everyone to hear her coming. Her chin was high, and her eyes scanned the crowd with a hint of superiority. She was certain that, once again, she would leave untouched. When Judge Samuel entered, the room stood in respect. Anna rose as well, though without sincerity. She tapped her fingers on the table, waiting impatiently for him to begin. The judge sat down, placed his hands on the desk, and looked around the room. His gaze moved slowly, resting on the community members, the officers present, and finally on Anna. His eyes were calm but carried a weight that silenced the whispers in the courtroom. Today, he began, we gather to decide not only the matter of complaints, but the matter of character. This case is not about crime, but about the heart of service. Anna leaned back, crossing her arms. Another long lecture, she whispered under her breath. But Judge Samuel heard her. Instead of reacting, he continued. In the past sessions, we heard voices of the community. We heard pain, disappointment, and loss of trust. We also heard your words, Officer Anna. Words filled with confidence, but also with pride that closes the door to listening. He paused, letting the silence fill the room. Everyone leaned forward slightly, waiting. This court has considered carefully. Many would expect punishment in the form of suspension or fine. But I believe such punishment would not reach the heart. Therefore, I choose a different path. Anna raised her eyebrows, curious. And what path is that? She asked boldly. Judge Samuel looked directly into her eyes. You will spend 3 months serving the very people you dismissed. Not as an officer giving orders, but as a helper sharing their burdens. You will repair broken streetlights with the workers, carry supplies for the elderly, sit with children in their schools, and walk in the shoes of those you once ignored. Gasps filled the room. Some looked shocked, others nodded in agreement. The decision was unlike anything they expected. Anna's face turned from confidence to disbelief. You cannot be serious, she said loudly. I am an officer. My duty is on the streets, not cleaning, carrying, or listening to petty complaints. The judge's voice remained steady. That is exactly why this is necessary. You have forgotten that true duty is not only about authority. It is about care. You will learn, not by hearing, but by doing. Anna stood up, her hands pressing the table. With respect, Judge, this is humiliating. Judge Samuel shook his head gently. No, Officer Anna. This is not humiliation. This is education. Humiliation tears down, but education builds up. You will come back after 3 months, and then we will see not just what you have done, but what you have become. The gavel struck once, sealing the verdict. For a moment, the courtroom remained frozen in silence. Then whispers filled the air again. Some smiled, feeling hope that change was possible. Others doubted Anna would ever learn. Anna, however, stood stiff, her pride wounded. She wanted to argue more, but the gavel had already fallen. The decision was final. She left the courtroom with quick steps, her heart burning with anger. In her mind, she thought, they want to humble me. They think I will bend. But I will show them I am unshakable. Yet behind her pride, a small, quiet voice began to stir, one she quickly pushed aside. Meanwhile, Judge Samuel returned to his chamber. He placed the file on his desk and closed his eyes for a moment. He knew this path would not be easy for her. He also knew the people would be watching closely. But he believed that the seed of change often needed strong soil, and the soil of service was the strongest of all. Over the next few days, arrangements were made. Anna was assigned to different groups within the community. Each week, she would work in a new place: schools, markets, repair teams, and shelters. She would have no uniform, no badge to command respect. She would stand as one of the people she once looked down upon. When the news spread, the community was surprised. Some were excited to see her work among them. Others doubted her sincerity, believing she would never change. On the evening before her first day, Anna sat by her window, looking at the city lights. For the first time, she felt uncertain. She touched the badge on her desk and whispered to herself, without this, who am I? The answer did not come. Only silence filled the room. And so, the turning point was set. The arrogant officer was about to step into a new world, one she had never respected, but one that would soon begin to shape her in ways she could not yet imagine. The morning of her first assignment arrived. Anna dressed in plain clothes, leaving her uniform and badge at home. For the first time in years, she stepped outside without the symbol of her authority. It felt strange, almost uncomfortable, like walking without armor. She arrived at a small community center, where workers were preparing to fix broken streetlights in the neighborhood. The same lights she had once dismissed during the meeting. The old man who had spoken in court was there, waiting for her. His face carried no anger, only calm patience. "Good morning, Officer Anna," he greeted. Anna lifted her chin. "I'm here because of the judge's order. Let's get this over with." The old man nodded gently. "Yes, let us begin." They walked together toward the first street. Workers carried tools and ladders, while Anna followed reluctantly. She had never touched such work before. Her hands were clean, her shoes polished. She thought the task beneath her. When they reached the broken streetlight, one worker turned to her. "Could you help hold this ladder steady?" Anna frowned. "I'm not a laborer." The old man spoke kindly. "Today, you are one of us. Please, try." With an impatient sigh, Anna placed her hands on the ladder. The worker climbed up and began repairing the light. The sun was hot, and Anna's arms grew tired quickly. Sweat rolled down her forehead, and her back ached. For the first time, she felt how much effort simple tasks demanded. When the light finally flickered back to life, the neighbors clapped with joy. Children pointed and smiled, their faces bright with happiness. Anna looked at them with surprise. "It's only a light," she muttered. But the old man answered softly, "For you, it is only a light. For them, it is safety in the night." His words lingered in her mind long after they moved to the next street. Over the next few days, Anna worked in the market. She helped elderly women carry baskets, arranged goods on stalls, and guided children crossing the busy roads. At first, she did it with a frown, moving stiffly, as if each task was a punishment. But slowly, she began to notice small things she had never seen before. One day, she carried a heavy basket for an old woman named Miriam. When they reached her home, Miriam placed her thin hands on Anna's arm and said, "Thank you, my child. Without you, I could not have done this today." Anna stood silent, her heart touched in a way she could not explain. No one had ever called her my child in such a gentle tone while she was on duty. Another day, she helped sweep the floors of a small school. The children surrounded her, curious and playful. One little girl tugged at her sleeve. "Will you come tomorrow too? You make the work fun." Anna blinked, unsure how to respond. She had always believed children were noisy and bothersome. Yet here they were, smiling at her as if she were a friend. At night, when she returned home, she sat by the window as she often did. But this time, the city lights seemed different. She remembered the faces of the people she had helped. Their smiles felt warmer than the respect she used to demand from others. Still, her pride did not vanish so easily. She told herself, "It's only temporary. Once the 3 months are over, I will return to my uniform, and things will be normal again." But deep inside, a quiet crack was forming in the wall of arrogance she had built around her heart. One afternoon, while serving at a shelter, Anna was asked to serve food to the poor. She picked up a ladle and filled bowls, handing them out one by one. At first, she did it quickly, without care. Then she noticed a small boy waiting at the end of the line. His clothes were worn, and his face thin with hunger. When she placed the bowl in his hands, he looked up at her and whispered, "Thank you, sister." The words struck her like a gentle wave. She froze for a moment, staring at him. No one had ever called her sister with such sincerity. That night, Anna could not sleep. She lay awake, hearing the voices of the old woman, the little girl, and the hungry boy. Their gratitude was different from the forced respect she had always demanded. It was real, soft, and deep. Days turned into weeks. Slowly, her hands grew used to the weight of baskets, the heat of the sun, and the laughter of children around her. She still carried pride, but it no longer felt as strong. Something new was growing inside her, a feeling she did not yet want to name. At the end of one long day, the old man who often guided her looked at her kindly. "You are learning, Anna," he said. She frowned. Learning what? He smiled. That respect is not taken. It is given, freely, when the heart sees kindness. Anna did not reply. She only looked down at her hands, rougher now than before, and wondered why his words felt so heavy in her chest. The lesson had begun. And though she still resisted, Anna was slowly walking a road that would change her forever. The weeks passed slowly, each day filled with tasks Anna had never imagined doing. At first, she counted the days, marking them off like a prisoner waiting for release. But as time moved forward, something inside her began to change. She no longer woke up with the same proud smile. Instead, she often sat quietly before leaving her home, remembering the faces of the people she had helped the day before. Their gratitude stayed with her longer than she expected. One morning, she was sent to work at a small school again. The children greeted her with excitement, running to her as if she were part of their world. "Sister Anna is here," they shouted. Their voices filled the air with joy. Anna felt a strange warmth spread in her chest. She had once thought children were noisy, but now their laughter sounded like music. She knelt down to tie the shoe of a little boy who was struggling. "Thank you," he whispered shyly. She smiled, a real smile, not the proud smirk she once wore. "You're welcome," she said softly. Later that day, she was asked to help paint the classroom walls. The brushes were old, and the paint dripped on her clothes, but she kept working. A little girl stood beside her, dipping her tiny brush in paint. "You are doing good, Sister Anna," the child said. Anna laughed lightly. "And so are you." As she looked at the bright new color spreading across the walls, Anna realized she was no longer thinking about her badge or her authority. She was simply present, working with her hands, side by side with the people. The next week, she helped deliver food supplies to families in need. She carried heavy bags up narrow stairs, her muscles aching, but she pushed on. At one door, an elderly man greeted her with trembling hands. "Bless you, child," he said, his eyes moist with gratitude. "We thought no one remembered us." Anna stood still, the bag of food heavy in her arms, but her heart heavier with emotions she could not name. She placed the bag down and touched his shoulder gently. "You are not forgotten," she whispered. That night, when she returned home, Anna sat in silence by her window. She thought of the old man's words, the little girl's smile, the boy calling her sister. These voices echoed in her heart, slowly replacing the harsh pride she once carried. But change is never easy. One afternoon, while sweeping the floor at the shelter, she overheard two women talking. "Do you think she is truly changing?" one asked. "Maybe," the other replied. "But it will take time." Anna paused, the broom still in her hands. Their words stung her pride, but also made her reflect. Had she really changed, or was she only pretending? The question stayed with her all day. That evening, she visited the shelter's garden, where children often played. She sat on a bench, watching them chase each other. A boy tripped and fell, scraping his knee. Without thinking, Anna rushed forward, lifting him gently and cleaning the wound with water from a bottle. The boy sniffled, tears in his eyes. "It hurts," he said softly. Anna stroked his hair. "Yes, but it will heal. You are brave." The boy looked at her with wide eyes, then hugged her tightly. For the first time, Anna felt tears rise in her own eyes. She hugged him back, her heart swelling with an emotion she could not deny any more: compassion. From that moment, her days felt different. She no longer saw the work as punishment. She began to wake up eager to see the people, to hear their voices, to share their burdens. When she helped repair a roof with the workers, she laughed as the wind blew dust into her face. When she served food, she looked into each person's eyes, offering not just a bowl, but a smile. When she walked through the streets, children waved, and she waved back warmly. The community, too, began to notice the difference. People who had once doubted her started whispering new words. "She is softer now," they said. "Her eyes look kinder." One evening, as she walked home after a long day, the old man who often guided her walked beside her. His steps were slow, but his voice steady. "You are learning well, Anna," he said gently. Anna looked at him, her pride gone from her eyes. "I did not understand before," she admitted. "I thought respect came from fear. But now I see it comes from kindness. I was wrong." The old man smiled. "Admitting that is the first step to true strength." That night, Anna sat by her window as always, but this time she was not alone with her thoughts. She felt surrounded by the voices, the laughter, the gratitude of the people. Her heart, once hard with arrogance, was now soft with empathy. She still had more days to serve, but she no longer counted them. For the first time, she understood what Judge Samuel had meant when he said respect is earned, not demanded. The heart that once refused to listen was finally awakening. And with each passing day, Anna felt she was becoming not just an officer, but a human being who truly cared. The day Anna had waited for finally came. Her community service was complete. 45 long days had passed, each one filled with lessons she had never expected. She had painted classrooms, carried heavy bags, served food, and listened to stories of pain and hope. She had walked through the streets not as an officer, but as a servant. And in that time, her heart had softened, her pride had melted, and her eyes had learned to see differently. Still, she felt nervous as she prepared for her return to the courtroom. The same court where she had once stood with a proud face, looking down on others, was now the place where she would stand to be judged again. That morning, she wore her uniform, but it felt different on her body. It was no longer a symbol of superiority. It was a reminder of responsibility. As she looked in the mirror, she whispered to herself, "Respect is not taken. It is given." When Anna arrived at the courthouse, the large wooden doors seemed taller than before. She walked through them with slow steps, her heart beating fast. People in the hallways noticed her, whispering as she passed. Some remembered her arrogance, but others had seen her change in the community. Inside the courtroom, Judge Samuel sat at his high seat. His face was calm, his eyes steady, just as they had been weeks ago when he had given his unusual verdict. "Officer Anna," he said, his voice firm but not unkind, "your time of service is complete. Step forward." Anna stepped slowly, her hands trembling slightly. She stood before him, her eyes lowered in respect. "Tell this court what you have learned," the judge said. Anna took a deep breath. For a moment, silence filled the room. Then she lifted her head, her voice clear but humble. "Your Honor," she began, "when I first stood here, I thought respect came from power. I thought my badge made me greater than others. I was wrong." Murmurs spread through the room, but Anna continued, her voice steady. "I walked among people who had nothing, yet they gave me smiles. I carried food to homes where hunger lived, yet I was the one who felt full of gratitude. I worked beside children who had so little, yet they gave me joy freely. They called me sister, and I learned what family truly means. Respect is not about fear. It is about kindness, humility, and service. That is what I have learned." Judge Samuel listened without moving. His expression did not change, but his eyes shone with quiet approval. Anna bowed her head. "I was blind before. But now, I see. I came here with pride, and I leave here with a heart that understands. I am deeply sorry for the way I disrespected this court and you, Your Honor." The courtroom was silent. Every ear listened, every eye watched. It was not the proud officer speaking now, but a humbled woman who had walked through fire and found her heart. Judge Samuel leaned forward slightly. And if you are given another chance, Officer Anna, how will you serve your people? Anna raised her eyes. With fairness. With compassion. With true respect for every person, no matter who they are. The judge nodded slowly. He looked around the room, then back at Anna. This court believes you have spoken truth. You have walked a path of humility and learned the meaning of service. Your sentence is fulfilled, but the lesson must continue in your life. Remember, respect is not earned in a day. It is earned every day. Tears filled Anna's eyes, but she smiled softly. I will remember, Your Honor. The gavel struck. The case was closed. As Anna stepped away from the bench, the people in the courtroom looked at her with new eyes. Some nodded, some even smiled. Not because of her uniform, but because of her change. Outside, the sunlight felt brighter than she remembered. She walked slowly down the courthouse steps, her mind filled with the faces of the people she had served. She thought of the old man who had blessed her, the children who had laughed with her, the families who had thanked her. Their voices would stay in her heart forever. A group of children from the school she had painted for saw her as she walked by. Sister Anna, they shouted, running toward her. She knelt down, opening her arms. The children hugged her, their laughter filling the air. And in that moment, Anna knew this was the real verdict. Not the judge's words, not the end of her sentence, but the love she had earned through kindness. She smiled as she rose, her uniform catching the sunlight. For the first time, she felt worthy of wearing it. Not because it gave her power, but because it gave her a chance to serve. That evening, as she sat by her window at home, Anna no longer felt restless or proud. She felt peaceful. The city outside was alive, filled with voices and stories, and she was now a part of it, not above it. Her journey had begun with arrogance, but it ended with humility. And as she whispered to herself once more, she knew the words were no longer empty. Respect is not taken. It is given. And this time, she truly believed it.